Hi there, my name is Marley. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my June reading wrap up where I talk about all the books that I read in the month of June. A little spoiler alert, I managed to complete 16 books, which I'm really happy with. I had a really good reading month. A little disclaimer, a lot of those were graphic novels, or quite a few of them were graphic novels, so that is why I managed to read that many, but a lot of them were pretty highly rated as well. So overall, a very successful reading month. And as we go through these books, as always, I'm going to be talking about them in the order of my least favorite or lowest rated to my favorite, aka the highest rated. So let's get started. Coming in at my lowest rated book for the month was The Guy on the Right by Kate Stewart. I read this for Romanceathon. It is an indie romance, which I don't normally read indie romance, so it's definitely a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. So what it's about is this guy Theo, who is the perpetual nice guy. He, goes into college a virgin. He's sort of been like mistreated by his ex-girlfriend, and then he meets, I think her name is Lainey, and she's our main female character, and they sort of hit it off at this party and create this great friendship, and then the relationship develops and eventually becomes more than friendship, and it's a romance. I actually really liked the relationship in this book. I am a fan of friendship to lovers, so I really thought this couple had a lot of great development, and I really just liked seeing the process of meeting and maybe not even having an initial romantic interest, but then having that attraction grow, whereas in so many other cases it'll be like an attraction at first sight, love at first sight type of thing. So I did like that aspect. However, there were definitely some problematic things in this book, which I talk about more in my Romanceathon vlog, which I'll definitely make sure to link. So that is why I overall don't really recommend this book unless you do think you can look past some things that are a little bit tone deaf, maybe shouldn't have been included, because the romance was pretty good. One other thing that had to drop it down a little bit for me was that I didn't love the ending, and that the description of the book sort of misled what I thought it would be about. I thought it would be a little bit more like a love triangle, but it's really just focused on that one relationship, so just keep that in mind as well. The next book to talk about is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I think I've been reading this one since February. It's pretty thick, and also I'm just not like a huge fan of the Throne of Glass books. If you don't know, this is the 5th Throne of Glass book, so I can't really describe it too much, but just know it has to do with fairies and like assassins, warriors. It's a fantasy book, and I highly recommend the first 2 books in this series. That's when I was really enjoying the series, the characters, the plot. In book 3, the series really took a turn, and at first I didn't totally hate it, but as the series gone on, it's not really my vibe anymore, but I'm still pushing through because I do want to finish this series since I only have 2 left. Fortunately, a few new characters that we've been introduced to recently in this world I've actually been enjoying more, and ironically it's actually our main character that I'm liking less and less. But yeah, finally finished this one, so now I'll be going on to Tower of Dawn. The next book I read, and it's actually a graphic novel that I just finished last night. It was volume 5 of Deathnote. This is a manga series that's based on an anime series. You've probably heard me talk about it before if you watch this channel, because I've been slowly making my way through the whole collection, which I have here. This last volume though, I only gave 4 out of 5 stars, whereas I gave the rest of the series 5 out of 5 stars. I just felt like we're reaching the like midway point where the plot is just like not as good. Things sort of change up with what's going on in the plot to make it not as exciting. If you guys don't know, this is about Light Yagami, who is this kind of normal teenage boy, and then a death god called a Shinigami drops his death note to the human world, and Light finds it and just sort of gets power hungry from it, because whatever name you write in the death note, that person will die. And so Light gets involved in that, and there's a lot of like plot twists, there's a lot of like smart plans that Light performs, and there's also a detective named Elle that is trying to figure out who is this mass serial killer, and it's secretly Light. So it's kind of like a cat and mouse game. This is like really heavy to hold. Or volume 5 was probably just my least favorite, but I'm still excited because I love the anime and I want to just continue to see what happens because I've forgotten a lot of the anime now and I know the ending is different, so I want to see the ending for sure. And the rest of the books I read are all like 4 or 5 stars, so you see how good of a reading month I had. But the next one to talk about is Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson. So this is a YA contemporary book. Morgan Matson has wrote books like The Unexpected Everything or Since You've Been Gone are some of her other popular books. This one in particular follows 2 teenage girls. They're seniors in high school, best friends, and they've been involved in the drama department at their school for basically their whole high school career. And so they decide to go to New York for one of the girls' birthday dinners and also to see this play. And while they're there, they end up getting into a bit of a fight due to like some miscommunication and things. And they end up both like losing their phones and then getting separated. So it's about these 2 girls in New York City, separated from each other, kind of having their own adventures, trying to find their way back to each other. There is a Pomeranian involved, and you know, just a lot of other shenanigans. There's also another side story that has to do with like babysitting and spies, and it's kind of weird. That part's kind of weird, but this book I would definitely call chaotic. And if you're a fan of like 80s movies or just like any sort of older movies, I feel like this has a lot of like ties to those and a lot of inspiration drawn from them. I read this in a reading blog recently, so I'll definitely make sure to link that as well if you want more in-depth thoughts, but I did give it 4 to 5 stars. I thought it was pretty cute. I've said this before, but I love how Morgan Matson integrates a lot of different themes in her books, like friendship and family relationships, and then also like what do you want to do with your life, career stuff. They're really great for like teenagers, so definitely recommend this if you're a teen and even if you're a young adult. Alright, so getting to the 5th book I read was Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. And I read this for my reading blog where I read 3 LGBTQIA+ books, so I'll link that as well. I did a lot of reading blogs this month. But this one was a really cute female romance read, and we get POVs from both of them. One of them is more of like our romantic at heart. She's looking for a girlfriend. She's really into astrology, hence the title Written in the Stars. Our other girl has more of this like strict 9-to-5 job. She's more like an uptight person, and she's also been hurt, so she's not looking for a relationship. So we have those 2 like counter personalities, and they end up getting set up on this date that goes horribly, and they don't intend on seeing each other again. But then Darcy, sorry if I'm forgetting people's names. I just say the main character, but I know Darcy, the one who's like hardened, her brother really wants her to date. So she just lies to him and says that the date goes well, and then goes to our other main character and asks for them to fake date in order to trick her brother so the brother's not hounding her about dating. Anyways, it's a fake dating story. It's really cute. You can kind of see where the fake dating story tends to go, but I haven't read that many female romances, so I did like that aspect. I really liked both of our characters. I really enjoyed the first half of the book, especially just seeing that build up, that tension, sort of like the banter between them. Another book I read this month was Boyfriend Material by Alexis, and I like to call this like the male version of Written in the Stars because again it's following a gay couple and it has fake dating. So basically our main character is famous, but not due to himself, it's more due to his parents. They were like rock stars, so he's just sort of famous because of that, and paparazzi's always following him, and it just really affects his life because he's known as like a troublesome guy, and that affects his job. They're like, you need to have a better reputation in order to still work here. So in order to have a better reputation, he decides to fake date this man who is the epitome of like having it all together. I think he's like a defense lawyer, very successful, very polite, all that sort of thing. So being seen with him in front of the press makes him have a better reputation. And this romance was so cute. I do think that this book is too long for like a contemporary book. If anything, I would like shorten it down. Also, the humor is like very quirky. It's a very like unique sense of humor, so keep that in mind. It might even be a little cringy at times, I would say, but the relationship between our 2 main characters is so good. It's like very on point, so really would recommend that book. Then we get to Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I also gave this 4 out of 5 stars, which was a very pleasant surprise because Get a Life Chloe Brown was not a fave, and so I'm really glad that I was able to like this book a lot better. As you guys probably know, this book follows Dani Brown and Zephyr. Dani is very much about having a friends with benefits relationship, and that's it because she is so busy with her career. She's a bit of a workaholic, and she also has been hurt in the past, of course. Zephyr is more of like a sweeter guy. He reads romance novels. He's very in touch with his emotions. When Zephyr ends up saving Dani from this like work emergency and it gets caught on film, they become very famous for it, and everyone like ships them on the internet. So they decide to take advantage of that and fake date in order to keep bringing publicity to Zephyr because he runs this like non-for-profit organization, and so this publicity is really great for him and his business, and it's just so cute. I feel like the two characters are so great. They're so unique. You just really get to know their personalities throughout the book, and then I think because the characters are developed so well, the relationship is also developed really, really well. It is kind of like a friends to lovers as well because they are friends first, which we love, and then it becomes a little bit of like friends with benefits for a second there. It also has some steamy moments, which I don't normally love, but it actually wasn't too bad in this book. It wasn't overwhelming. It was just the right amount, and so I loved it. Now I need to decide if I want to read the 3rd book in this series called Eve Brown because I've heard some mixed things on that one, but we'll see. Next up, I finished off a series that I started last month, and I read The Retribution of Mara Dyer, which is the 3rd book in the Mara Dyer trilogy. These are definitely older books in the YA book world. It follows Mara Dyer, who is this typical teenage girl, and then she gets in this really bad accident, but she survives it when all of her friends don't. She's dealing with the trauma of that and like mental health issues, but then also she feels like she's blacking out, she's losing time, she's hallucinating, some weird things are going on, and it seems like she has this sort of power that I won't spoil, but it's a very like dark power, and it just sort of goes on from there. It's a paranormal fantasy, also a romance. The mystery is really, really good in this series. I did start to feel like it got a little dragged out in the 2nd book, but this 3rd book I really enjoyed. It was very plot focused and really finding out more about this world and like the paranormal aspects of it, the superpowers, I'll say. The romance sort of took a back seat until the end, which I appreciated because the romance was really heavy in the first 2. So this was a very good conclusion in my opinion. I guess it could have been a little better because I did only give it 4 out of 5 stars, but overall I really enjoyed the series. And I know there's another one called Noah Shaw, so it follows more of the love interest. Now I need to decide if I want to read that. I think I will, but I might take a little break before I start that. But yeah, if you want like a throwback YA book, you never got to these, you find it at a used bookstore like me, I would recommend. Another book I read from Romanceathon was Shipped by Angie Hockman. This, they say, is like a combination of The Hating Game and The Unhoneymooners, and they are 100% right about that. We're following our 2 characters who work for the same company. They're both in the marketing department. Due to something that happened when Graham started at the company, Henley dislikes him, and they have this sort of hateful relationship, bantery, not great. And then they get sent on a trip together because they're up for the same promotion. So they have to go on this trip to sort of come up with a marketing proposal for that cruise ship. That's what they work for. It's like a cruise company. So you see the hate to love, you see like the fun trip element. The only thing is I would say it's not super unique because of that. Like it is very similar to those other books that I mentioned, but I think if you like those other books, you would like this one because it has that really prime enemies to lovers aspect. I find both characters ended up being really, really likable at the end. It didn't seem like it would be at first, but they actually are both really, really likable, really, really good people. And if you're craving like a vacation, like you haven't been able to due to COVID, this is a nice little way to, I don't know, feel like you're escaping with a vacation. One of my problems that I did have with this book though is that the romance element sort of disappears at the end of the book, and it gets very focused on like the plot and like the career aspects of our characters, which is of course important. Like if you like reading about workplace situations, workplace romances, then this is definitely for you, but I just feel like it could have been focused a little bit more on the romance at the end. Then we get to the 10th book, and that is Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. This is actually the author of The Hating Game, and this is her newest book, and I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. I liked it a lot more than The Hating Game. If you guys don't know, I think I only gave that 3 stars. I found there were just like some problematic elements in it. I didn't love our main guy character in that book. He was like too controlling for me. But in Second First Impressions, the romance is so on point. I would call it a friendship to lovers romance again. Even though our characters don't hit it off at first, they definitely like quickly develop this cute friendship, and then it's really lovely to see their bond throughout the book. They have so many like cute moments, but then it is sort of like a forbidden love, like they can't really pursue it because of reasons, which I should probably explain. Okay, so we're following Ruthie and Teddy, and Ruthie works at this retirement villa, and she's very overworked. She's very like type A, like very organized, work-centered. And then Teddy comes and works at the retirement villa because his dad owns the place, and he's basically just working there because he needs the money for his own thing. So he's gonna be leaving eventually, and Ruthie is very like, I'm staying here for the rest of my life. So that's kind of like the forbidden elements of it. There's really cute like side characters, or like fun side characters with the people who are at the retirement villa. There's turtles, but overall what I really liked about this book was mostly the relationship between Ruthie and Teddy, and just Ruthie and her best friend in the book, and Ruthie's character as a whole. So I would definitely recommend this, but know that it's different from The Hating Game, and like it's better in my opinion. Then we get to Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and I actually read the complete series, so all 4 volumes that are out, or everything that's out on the website Webtoon where it's uploaded. And these books I just gave 5 out of 5 stars. I mean, they're really short, really cute graphic novels. I just had to. If you don't know, it's following Charlie and Nick, and Charlie at the beginning of the books is already out. He was outed last year. He was sort of bullied for it, but then eventually people stopped bullying him, but he still has a lot of anxiety that he struggles with. And then he meets Nick, and they become friends. Another adorable friendship to lovers story. So they become friends, and then more than friends. And for Nick, this is his first time liking a boy. So for his side, it's a little bit more of a coming out story, a self-realization story. And as the books go on, they definitely tackle a lot more issues. There is definitely eating disorder, representation, mental health stuff, and a lot of diversity in like the side characters, which you get to know more. There's a trans character, there's like lesbian characters, but I'm really excited to see this whole cast in the Netflix show that's coming out. I think it's a really great series to be made into a TV show, and definitely read the books or the webtoon before it comes out. Now for my second favorite book of the month, 5 out of 5 stars, it is The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune. I had never read a TJ Klune book before, and I've just completely fallen in love with him now. And I definitely need to read more of his books. But The Extraordinaries is kind of like an urban fantasy. We are in our like normal human world, but they're superheroes called Extraordinaries, and the main character is obsessed with them. He's a really big fanboy. He writes fan fiction about his favorite superhero, and one day he like meets him and thinks that they have this great connection, so he wants to become an extraordinary so that they can be together and that he can be this like special superhero as well. He also has like a great group of friends surrounding him, a best friend that's secretly in love with him, but he is clueless to it. So the romance elements are like really cute. There's also a big focus on family, as his mom was not around. She passed away, I believe, so it's him and his dad and like that relationship. And then the whole superhero thing is just so fun without it being overly like heavy and like super dominatingly about superheroes, because at the end of the day our main character is not a superhero, so all of that action mostly happens off screen. But this book was just so fun. I don't even know how to like describe it. I recommend it to everyone. Like, you have to read it. Oh my gosh, it's hot. And then we get to my favorite book of the month, which was Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I feel like I've talked about this book a lot, but it's a sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it is a YA thriller mystery book. We are following our main character Pip, who is in high school, but she's really into true crime and like wants to be a detective when she grows up. So in the first book, she decides to solve this murder case that had been wrapped up already, but she suspected that the person who was blamed for the murder was not true. So in that first book, she ends up solving this mystery and getting really popular because of it. So in this second book, she's sort of done with solving mysteries because it was a very traumatic experience and she just wants to like have a safe, normal time. But then this new mystery stumbles upon her when her friend's brother goes missing. It's not a murder mystery, it's more of like a missing person situation. It is just as good as the first one. The mystery is so great. There's always aspects that you can like kind of figure out, but then there's always something that you just did not see coming. It's definitely the best YA mystery book I've ever read, or at least this series are the best I've ever read. It can be very hit or miss with YA mysteries, but these are hits. I also just really love Pip as a character, and I really love her romantic relationship in this book as well. And I think what makes it so great is that even though it's YA, like Pip is not really worried about your typical teenage stuff. She's very, very focused on the mystery, so you don't have to deal with all the like filler YA like drama that's going on, like a lot of them involved. In this one, Pip actually wants to be a detective, so she is actually really, really involved in the mystery. So obviously 5 out of 5, and there's gonna be a third book coming out soon that I'm really, really excited about. So those are all the books that I read in June. It was a very good month. I read a lot of romance, so I think I need a little bit of a romance break. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you got some recommendations. Let me know if you've read any of these books, of course, and please make sure to subscribe for more reading vlogs and more wrap-ups and all that kind of stuff in the future. And as always, I'll see you guys in my next video coming soon. Bye!